Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media. Together with us present, we have the Honorable Dr. Sri Shamuddin Tun Hussein, Minister of Defense, Acting Minister of Transport, the Honorable Dr. Hamza Zanuddin, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Malaysia, Dr. Azharuddin Abdul Rahman, Director General, Department of Civil Aviation, Ahmad Jawhari Yahya, Chief Executive Officer, Malaysian Airline System. To start the session for the day, I hereby call upon the Honorable Minister of Transport to deliver his statement. Honorable Minister, if you please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. During the last 24 hours, the Prime Minister has spoken to the Prime Minister of Australia and the Premier of China. Malaysia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has sent diplomatic notes to all countries involved in the search and rescue operation. This includes two groups. First, countries in the search corridors, and second, countries from which we are seeking assistance and expertise. For countries in the search corridors, we are requesting radar and satellite information, as well as specific assets for the search and rescue operation. We are asking them to share their land, sea, and aerial search, also action plans, rescue action plans, with the Rescue Coordination Center here in Malaysia, so that we can coordinate the search efforts. We have asked for regular updates, including daily reports on both search activities and details of any information required from Malaysia. We are not at liberty to reveal information from specific countries. As the coordinating authority, we are gathering all information as part of the ongoing search and rescue operation. Ladies and gentlemen, over the past 48 hours, Malaysia has been working on the diplomatic, technical, and logistical requirements of the search for MH370. The number of countries involved in the search and rescue operation has increased to 26. Malaysia continues to lead the overall coordination of the search effort. The southern corridor has been divided into two sections according to the International Civil Aviation Organization demarcation. These demarcations were agreed by the ICAO, of which Malaysia is a council member, before MH370 went missing. Australia and Indonesia have agreed to lead search and rescue operations in their respective regions as demarcated by ICAO. Today I can confirm that search and rescue operations in the northern and southern corridors have already begun. Countries including Malaysia, Australia, China, Indonesia, Kazakhstan have already initiated search and rescue operations. The Royal Malaysian Air Force and the Royal Malaysian Navy have deployed assets to the southern corridor. Two Malaysian ships have been deployed, the offshore patrol vessel KD Kelantan and KD Selangor. This deployment also includes a Super Lynx helicopter, which can operate from either ship. Australia has already moved a P-3 Orion aircraft to the region of Cocos and Christmas Islands, and today the Prime Minister of Australia confirmed that Australia will send an additional two P-3 Orion and a C-130 Hercules. A US P-8 Poseidon aircraft will be traveling to Perth today to help with the search. Malaysia has been working with international investigators and aviation authorities since day one. Yesterday, experts from Civil Aviation Administration of China joined the investigation team. Today, officials from the French Office of Investigations and Analysis for the Safety of Civil Aviation also joined the team. These authorities are working with Malaysian Airlines and the DCA to refine data that can help with the search. On Saturday, 8th of March, the Royal Malaysian Police started investigations into all crew members on board MH370, including the pilot and co-pilot, as well as all ground staff handling the aircraft. On Sunday, 9th March, police officers visited the homes of the pilot and the co-pilot. Officers also spoke to the family members of the pilot and the co-pilot. Police visited the homes of the pilot and co-pilot again on Saturday, the 15th of March. The pilot's flight simulator was taken from his house with the assistance of his family. The simulator was reassembled at the police headquarters. At this point, I would like to stress that Malaysia has been cooperating with the FBI, Interpol, and other relevant international law enforcement authorities since day one. I would also like to address the speculation that Malaysia has held back information about the MH370 movements. For the families, I understand that every day prolongs their anguish. I understand because Malaysia too is missing its sons and daughters. There were 50 Malaysians on board the plane. Our priority has always been to find the aircraft. We would not withhold any information that could help, but we also have a responsibility not to release information until it has been verified by the international investigation teams. This responsibility is not only to the families and to the investigation, but also to the search and rescue operations. It would be irresponsible to deploy substantial assets merely on the basis of unverified and uncorroborated information. As soon as the possibility emerged that the plane had carried out an air turn back to the Straits of Malacca, we expanded our search to that area. I would like to reiterate the US investigating team's statement about that decision. Based on the information and data given by the Malaysian authorities, the US team was of the view that there were reasonable grounds for the Malaysian authorities to deploy resources to conduct search on the western side of peninsular Malaysia. As soon as we verified and corroborated the new satellite information as to the possible last known whereabouts of the aircraft, we recalibrated our search efforts to the northern and southern corridors as announced by the Prime Minister. After my statement, we will release a more detailed map of the northern and southern corridor, which looks something like this. Malaysia Airlines has set up operation centers in both Kuala Lumpur and Beijing to care for the families of the crew members and passengers. MAS has allocated each family a caregiver who will be on 24-hour duty. They have sent more than 100 staff and caregivers to Beijing. The airline gives daily briefings to the families. They provide counseling sessions, and they contact families that have elected not to come to Malaysia between 2 or 3 times a day. Ladies and gentlemen, over the past 2 days, we have been recalibrating the search for MH370. It remains a significant diplomatic, technical, and logistical challenge. Malaysia is encouraged by the progress made during such a short period of time, and we are grateful for the response by the heads of governments that we have spoken to, all of whom have expressed a commitment of assistance. With support from our many international partners, this new phase of the search is underway. Assets are being deployed, and search and rescue operations have begun. And I wish to thank our partners from around the world for their continued support. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Q&A session. We'll start from this corner up here. Yes.
Good afternoon. Thank you for RDM Radio. Okay, I got 2 questions here. First question is, setakat ni berapa buah negara di kedua-dua koridor pencarian itu yang telah respon kepada nota diplomasi yang kita hantar? Dan satu lagi, hari ini Daily Mail telah menyiarkan footage CCTV di KLA menunjukkan kedua-dua pilot MAS 370 diperiksa badan mereka waktu melepasi garisan keselamatan.
Maybe Hamzah dan Mas.
Terima kasih. Soalan pertama tadi, bila kita menghantar diplomatic notes kepada negara-negara yang terlibat dalam dua-dua koridor tersebut, kita baru menghantar pagi tadi secara verbal daripada 14 negara yang kita hantar. Kita telah menerima kebanyakannya daripada mereka, hampir lebih daripada separuh sudah pun kita terima. InsyaAllah saya rasa semuanya akan dapat memberi sokongan dan juga asisten daripada apa yang kita minta. Jadi masalah ini tidak akan timbul kerana kebanyakannya sudah setuju secara verbal.
Okay.
On the MAS.
Local, please, local. Okay,
This regarding the, I think the what you call the security tape about the pilots being checked at the security checkout. I think that's something that the security personnel of Malaysia Airport will have to respond.
Dato', Sri, Suri dari Astrawani, ada tak dapat so far what's the forensic radar from countries northern corridor and also southern corridor, especially is there any radar receive maklumat daripada Diego Garcia? Dan soalan kedua, berapa kos pencarian SCR setakat ini dan adakah akan beri reimbursement kepada negara-negara luar yang turut terlibat dalam SCR ini?
Dari segi kos, saya agak terharu kerana negara-negara yang terlibat tidak memikirkan kos yang terpaksa dibayai oleh mereka. Dari segi kos yang dibiayai oleh negara kita, itu pun tak menjadi pertimbangan. Setakat mana yang kita mampu, kita akan pastikan bahawa ianya dapat dipenuhi supaya matlamat utama kita, iaitu untuk mencari dan mengesan pesawat dapat dikecapi. Berhubung dengan isu pertama tadi,
Radar. Sudahkah ada?
Dari segi maklumat, bukan saja dari segi radar tetapi satelit dan juga data berhubung kait dengan usaha pencarian kita menggunakan pesawat dan juga kapal-kapal yang ada. Kita dah umumkan tadi berapa negara yang terlibat dan kita belum sampai kepada tahap di mana saya mempunyai maklumat untuk dikongsikan bersama-sama dengan media hari ini.
Good evening, Dr. Sri. I'm Sudhir from the Malay Mail Online. I would like to ask, is the investigation looking into pilot suicide for either the pilot or the co-pilot, and has the investigation revealed any personal problems or money problems that either of them have had?
The answer to the first question, yes, we're looking at it. And secondly, no, I cannot say for the moment.
Please pass the mic to the back first. Thank you.
Sri Azmal from Victory. Can you update us on the simulated investigation?
All that I have is what the Tan Sri IGP indicated to us yesterday and what was reiterated in my statement today.
Okay, next question. No, gentleman here. No.
Ya.
Nak tanya, bagi kita tahu, Radar Tentera telah memesan satu slot yang buat airtime plan pada hari Sabtu pagi itu. Dan kita tahu Radar Tentera ini penting untuk kesan serbu pergerakan udara sebab menjaga keselamatan negara. So, soalan dia, mengapa pihak tentera mengapa tak ambil tindakan untuk semak pesawat itu? Dan jika tiada, ada tak tindakan kepada pegawai tentera yang bertugas pada kejadian?
Pertamanya, maklumat daripada radar tentera saya dah nyatakan sebelum ini sensitif. Tetapi dalam kes ini kita ketepikan kepentingan keselamatan negara kerana untuk membantu mencari pesawat berkenaan. Dan hanya apabila maklumat itu dapat dikorporasikan dengan sah oleh agensi-agensi antarabangsa seperti FAA, NTSB, MAIB. Also, hanya apabila itu telah pun disahkan, ianya dimaklumkan kepada orang ramai. Dari segi tindakan tentera, apabila maklumat itu diperolehi, telah pun dinyatakan oleh pihak Panglima Tentera Udara bahawa mereka pada ketika itu tidak menganggapkan kapal terbang pesawat itu sebagai hostile.
Kerana daripada bernama Tok Sri Hamid Zahari, saya nak tanya, ada maklumat mengatakan pilot lain dan dijadualkan menerbangkan MH370 tapi tukar kepada Kapten Zahari pada tahun akhir. Adakah ini betul dan jika ya, kenapa dan siapa? Dan Kapten Zahari juga dikatakan telah menjalani latihan penerbangan tanpa signal. Adakah di bawah pencarian emas dan apa keperluannya?
Itu tak betul. Dia sebenarnya di roster seperti yang jadual.
Dato' Sri.
Mengenai
Daripada mana tuan?
hari syawal Ahmad dekat individu, kita dah share maklumat-maklumat radar kita dengan negara lain. Kita juga letak maklumat-maklumat radar daripada negara lain juga untuk kepada kita. Di mana letaknya keselamatan negara kita sekarang ni? Sedangkan maklumat-maklumat saya sekarang tu telah dikongsi.
Saya faham maksud soalan tadi dan memang melihat ke hadapan kita kena kaji semula kemampuan kita kerana sedikit sebanyak maklumat yang kita telah kongsi bersama dengan agensi-agensi siasatan tadi akan menjejaskan setakat ini, tetapi tak pada tahap yang membimbangkan. Tetapi untuk jangka masa yang panjang memang kita akan lihat semula kemampuan radar kita, dan ini setelah pun saya maklumkan kepada Yang Berhormat Perdana Menteri kita. Itu kita lihat selepas fokus dan keutamaan kita iaitu untuk mencari dan mengesan pesawat berkenaan dapat dicapai dahulu.
Dato' Sri Sufi Ahmad daripada Berita Harian. Dato' Sri, macam mana nak menangani spekulasi oleh media asing yang sedikit sebanyak dah memberikan tingkat negatif kepada negara kita? Dengan
menjawab setiap spekulasi dan dakwaan setiap hari seperti saya lakukan pada 5.5 hari-hari.
Mungkin pesawat berkenaan semalam dia kata berkenaan tidak membawa barang-barang kaku yang mungkin dibentukkan oleh. Adakah pesawat berkenaan membawa barangan yang berharga atau bernilai yang memungkinkan disabotaj, dan kenapa PDRM mengambil masa yang lama untuk menyiasat simulator di rumah Dato' Zahid?
Okey, mengenai kargo, kita ada muatan mangosteen pergi ke negeri China. Kalau nak ke itu boleh kata konten banyak, dalam kalau tak silap dalam 3 ke 4 tan mangosteen.
Dari segi PDRM, kalau tak salah saya, Tan Sri IGP semalam telah pun menjawab bahawa peringkat awal tidak merasakan bahawa ada keperluan, tetapi dengan pendedahan terbaru di bahawa ACAS dan juga transponder telah dengan sengajanya ditutup, maka mereka kena lihat semula evidence yang ada. Itulah sebabnya mereka kembali ke rumah pilot dengan co-pilot. Tetapi saya nak tekankan di sini kerjasama daripada keluarga mereka, saya dimaklumkan cukup baik sekali.
Okay, please, Dato' Sri, daripada mana tuan?
Helmi Kuat daripada Usaha Melayu, Dato' Sri.
Ya.
Dato' Sri, adakah setakat ini masih kekal dengan pendirian bahawa pesawat itu memang dibawa oleh seorang dalam pesawat dan dilencurkan ke kawasan lain? Berbanding dengan ada teori lain bahawa ada pihak lain itu mungkin dikontrol secara remote bukan oleh pilot sendiri. Mungkin ada unsur-unsur yang lain.
Dari segi remote saya rasa tak mungkin.
Ataupun radar hijack sebagainya.
Itu saya rasa pun tak mungkin. Tetapi kalau sekiranya ada bukti dan maklumat yang boleh kita verify, ianya mesti disiasat. Keduanya, saya boleh mengesahkan bahawa ia terpaksa. Kita lihat dari segi fakta-fakta yang sedia ada, bukan saja daripada satu sumber, tetapi daripada pihak tentera, daripada BCA, disahkan oleh FAA dan juga NTSB. Maka apa yang diumumkan dan dimaklumkan oleh Yang Berhormat Perdana Menteri itulah merupakan apa yang kita pegang hari ini untuk melihat kepada operasi kita.
Yes, please.
Dato' Sri, Kedah Kepala itu dalam kenyataan yang dikeluarkan hari ini oleh MOD, aset PLM dan PGM diterapkan ke koridor selatan.
Ya.
Adakah koridor selatan barangkalian kosong berada dalam lingkungan koridor selatan?
Tidak, dua-dua koridor itu merupakan tumpuan kita. Tetapi di selatan, koridor di sebelah selatan itu tidak mempunyai banyak negara yang terlibat. Sebab itu data daripada satelit, daripada radar yang kita dapat kerjasama daripada Amerika dan juga Australia merupakan sesuatu yang mungkin menjadi tumpuan hari ini. Tidak bermakna bahawa kita tidak memberi fokus yang sama kepada koridor di sebelah utara.
Please, sir.
Dato' Sri, Zurin from the Star, Dato' Sri. Have the
investigator talk to the pilot, the other pilot who claimed to have heard pilot of MH370 mumbling?
Not that I know.
Yes, please.
That's Sri Nurul from FC.com. Can you, since the radar is said to be switched off between the airspace of Vietnam and also Malaysia, how often do the pilot and co-pilot travel the Beijing-KL route? And then is the simulator with the captain, is there such a route programmed into the simulator? Thank you.
First, I can just confirm that the ACAS system was turned off just off Kota Baru, and at Igari was the transponder. On whether it is a common thing, the second part of the question,
That's a normal flight protocol. Normally, the Malaysian air traffic controller will hand over basically the flight to the Vietnamese air controller at Igari. It was just about the handing over point when we lost radar contact.
Please, sir.
I'm Amirul from BFF Radio 89.9. The question is, pilots already go through psychological tests before they join. Will MAS relook into the sort of tests that they go? And second part, what are steps that MAS will take to reassure passengers about their safety on board flights?
Well, first, the psychological test, the psychometric, psychomotor test and all that is a standard procedure for pilot recruitment. They must go through that test. In terms of going forward, we will obviously look into all this and see whether we can strengthen, tighten all the various entry requirement, examination. As far as the ensuring going forward, we are right now on what we call code Tango. That's an internal code, which means it's heightened security code. That means that we look at every possible security, leaks or shortcoming. So going on board MAS flight is really a heightened security environment right now.
Yes, sir. Your question.
Recently, as 2 years ago, in the East Turkmenistan Islamic movement has been accused of trying to hijack Indian airlines, and they were successful. And now recently in our area in Thailand, recently we found a large movement of Uyghur nationals which will even battle the Thai authorities. Have your Chinese counterpart come back to you on this aspect of the investigation, since on Saturday the Prime Minister said someone might have deliberately switched off the transponder of the train? Has your Chinese counterpart gave any intelligence regarding to the possibility of being hijacked by these extremists or any groups in, because Uyghur also was implicated in the recent Tianjin massacre situation?
When we were discussing earlier regarding the two Iranians that traveled on stolen passports, the manifest was forwarded to the Chinese authorities and it was cleared. But as early as only a few hours ago, I've asked the Chinese intelligence and authorities to relook, re-intensify to the list that they have with them, with that possibility. But at the moment, we don't find anything to corroborate what was said earlier.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir. This is Anshuman from Reuters.
Hi.
For the DCA or the MAS CEO, can you please confirm if the plane's emergency location transmitting system ELPS was working before the flight took off, or if not, that would, because that could be controlled only by the ground staff. So if we have any information on the ELPS at all of this aircraft?
For any aircraft before the takeoff, all systems must be made, especially the emergency system must be serviceable. So that's one of the major items that to be checked before flight. So that's going to be.
I'm sorry, can you please answer, was this working or not? Because it needs to be checked, that's fine. But do we have any information? Was this on or was this off?
every emergency item, like the emergency locker terminal, will always put on arm, and it will trigger when it touch water or if it's crash, the aircraft crash. So it's always on arm. Thank you.
Okay, please, your question, one with the mic.
Yeah, the Washington Post. For any of you, have you been able to determine if any passengers attempted or succeeded in making cell phone calls or placing text messages after the plane rerouted towards the west?
I have not.
Have not attempted or have not been able to find?
Well, so far we have not had any evidence from any what called telephone company of any number they're trying to contact. But anyway, we're still checking. There are millions of records that they have to process. Right? It's being done as part of the investigation.
Okay, yes sir, your question please.
There's been some speculation that some of the people on the passenger manifest, other than members of the crew, may have had training in flight simulation in some way, or may have been aerospace engineers. Can you tell us the truth to that, if that's a likely inquiry?
Well, the passenger manifest has been passed over to the police to check on each, the background of each passenger. We know the background of the crew, but we are checking. The police is doing investigation on the background of passengers.
Right.
Yes, please, sir.
John Sparks from Channel 4 News in the UK. Do you believe that the person who said, all right, good night, from the cockpit was the pilot or co-pilot?
Initial investigation indicated it was the co-pilot who basically spoke the last time it was recorded on tape.
Do you have a recording of that?
The recording is with air traffic control.
And what have you found? Have you analyzed it for stress?
That is part of our
investigation.
Okay. We cannot reveal.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Please.
Hi, sir. I'm going to need you to be very specific here. Can you tell us what time was the aircraft disabled, and what time is the pilot's, as you say, co-pilot's communication to the air control tower which says, all right, good night? What time is this, what is the time for these both events? Can you be specific, please?
Okay, the ACAS, last ACAS transmission was 107. Okay, we don't know when the ACAS was switched off after that. It was supposed to transmit 30 minutes from there, another transmission, but that transmission did not come true. That was the very last transmission of the ACAS, 107. When it got switched off, anytime between then to the next 30 minutes. Okay. As far as the pilot comm or the pilot communication, understand according to the record, it was about 119. Understand?
I can confirm that it's 119 when we got the last transmission from the cockpit that says all right tonight. 119.
How do you know then that this because so Mr. Minister, yesterday you said that the aircraft was disabled, before the pilot say all right good night to the control tower. Isn't that the means that whoever is at the cockpit is misleading the control tower and saying?
No, I think they're going to the realm of speculation.
So can you confirm? At least confirm that, sir.
No, I don't think we want to go down that route, because what I said yesterday were based on facts that have been corroborated and verified.
Okay, next question, please, sir.
Question from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. Just, is it unusual that it wasn't detected, for example, from the tower, that the ACAS was switched off? Is that something that normally come up on a warning light or something like that?
No, there's no indication in the tower for the communication of the pilot at that point of flight is from our air traffic control center, and we have no indication at the control center to say that the ACAS was switched off. It was revealed when we did the information was not downloaded by the aircraft to the center in MES.
Can I just ask another question? I think Lauren's a bit confused as to why or not, or why it's two distinct corridors rather than every possibility in between the two corridors where the plane might have gone. Why is the satellite saying, okay, there's that corridor there, and then in a completely different direction, there's that corridor there?
It is very technically processed and researched, and we got the 6 handshake by Inmarsat, the satellite service provider, and the satellite is geosatellite on top of Indian Ocean and looking at a very big area, and they have latitude, and the satellite can only see the aircraft at an elevation, and they can see this aircraft elevation of 40 degrees, and the only information of each of the handshake is a time where the handshake took place, and we don't know where it is. There's no indication of no coordinates. Therefore, we calculated from the last point at Straits of Malacca. We calculated, well, we route the aircraft on the minimum speed that 777 could do and the maximum speed. The minimum speed goes to Laos, ended in Laos, and the maximum speed ended at the edge of Caspian Sea on the North Corridor. Therefore, the North Corridor stretches from Laos right to Caspian Sea, whereas on the south route, the minimum speed goes at this west of Sumatra, and the maximum speed goes down to the south of Indian Ocean. Therefore, the southern corridor stretches from east of Sumatra, right to south of Indian Ocean. And that's been verified by NTSB, FAA, AAIB. The Chinese talked to us today, and we showed to them. They agree with the findings, and the French is already here, and we're going to talk to them tomorrow and show them what we have done.
As you can appreciate, the area is concerned is huge. And what we've been doing since the Prime Minister announced it a few days ago is try and narrow this. And that is why the countries that are closest or have assets, whether it's satellite, radar, or assets on the ground, have been contacted. This is actually to reduce the area that we are looking at the moment.
Okay, please, your question, please.
Getting from Straits Times Singapore, can you tell us last week the passengers' families were told to expect the worst? Is this position being maintained at the moment right now, or is there some hope, more hope that some passengers are surviving this? The second question is that can you confirm whether foreign security agencies have vetted and cleared the background of the pilots?
On a personal basis, for the families, I always pray, whether if it's hope against hope. But the urgency and the ground that we need to cover, it is very important for us to focus. And that's why we have impressed on everybody not to speculate, because when we have to look into speculative reports, it will distract us from our immediate concern, which is to find the aircraft.
Hello, question from CNN, Kim Long. The U.S. FBI says that they have a team ready to deploy to Malaysia, but it has specifically not been asked by the country to assist beyond the 2 agents it already has here.
That's not
Is
true.
there a relevance to
That's not true. That's clearly false information, because I've been working with the FBI from day one.
Good morning, Gerald. What is the best calculation after 8/11, when the last time it was known, confirmed time, how long after that could it have flown?
we estimate it could have another 30 minutes of fuel. Depending on the speed it's flying.
Okay, please.
This was not to be used. It seems 10 days has passed now, a series of errors, multiple criticisms. Is it not time for the Malaysian government to admit that they have made a mistake?
I think that's purely erroneous, because I've also got a lot of feedback that in the circumstances that we are facing, we have been very responsible in our actions. I think it is very irresponsible of you to say that this is the case.
Good evening, gentlemen. You're live on Sky News from London. A couple of questions for you, if I may. There's a report that this flight was on a commercial flight corridor of 5,000 feet. Can you confirm that? And do you have any hope whatsoever that this plane could still be intact, or do you not know?
Well, as far as the report at 5,000 feet, we're not aware of that report. I think it's something that the investigation team has to look into.
It doesn't come from us.
It doesn't come from us.
The fact that there are no distress signals, there are no ransom notes, there are no parties claiming to be responsible, there's always hope.
Yes, please, your question, sir.
Andrew Stevens, CNN. It's been more than 48 hours now since that simulator was taken by police and investigated. What have you found out so far?
When the time comes, the chief of police will report that to the media.
When will that be, sir?
I'll check with him.
2 days.
I'll check with him.
Gentlemen, CBS News, just to follow up on 2 points others have raised. So, one question, the working knowledge is that it was the co-pilot who said, all right, good night. And then the other question, it seems that this ACAR system could have been switched off between 107 and 137, but that communication came at 119. So is it possible the ACAR system was switched off after that communication with the control?
We don't know when the aircraft system was switched off. All we know is the last transmission, and we did not receive the next transmission. Okay?
But a lot has been, I guess I'm asking, a lot has been made that that came after that system had been switched off. That the pilot or someone in the cockpit communicating this all right, good night message came after the system had been switched off.
Well, like I said, the invention team is looking at all possibilities because they have to go through and run through the proper simulation of the cockpit.
And that is why I think we need to focus on finding the aircraft. The quicker we get to the black box, those questions will be answered. I think we'll have one more question.
One last question, please, your question.
I'm from Xinhua News Agency. At this moment, most of Chinese people are becoming increasingly anxious about this incident, but the search and rescue and investigations move slowly. So has Malaysia's government ever thought about using any social networkings and social media to help with establishing more effective and efficient way of communication with Chinese people? You know, some applications like Weibo and WeChat, it covers a number of 750 million population in China. And would it assist you with this, actually?
Yes, it would, and that's why I'm on Weibo myself. Secondly, I've been on CCTV, and that has been beamed across the world. And the feedback that I've got is very positive in trying to understand and appreciate what the families are going through. I've always said that whatever we do, we have to think of what the families are going through. That is why we have to be very responsible in coming out with the statements, and they must be verified and corroborated. Because at the end of the day, if they are not and found to be false, the people that are going to suffer most are those very families that you are trying to protect. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media. That's all for today. The media again tomorrow.